perfectly. Oh. Okay, that doesn't look right. Oh, that does look right. There we go. Some TvZ. Bottom left will be Cure. Top right will be Reynor. As we get ourselves into this max best of 3 here from the next 2021 winter. Hello, if you're watching this on YouTube. Just a little bit of a heads up about that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe and like and support the video and help the YouTube channel grow and have more StarCraft and stuff, etc. You guys know what I'm talking about in the drill. I just want to get out of the way because I think Reynor and Cure is always a very fun matchup to watch, especially when they're playing on even ping. This is not like an ESL Open Cup Europe or anything. So yeah. Excited to see what happens as a barracks goes into the corner. A spawning pool is on the way up from Reynor. A hatchery dropping down. So he actually plays pool first, Reynor. Playing a little bit cautious, doesn't want to be caught off guard, doesn't want to be, you know, caught kind of slacking against the proxy racks, just wants an easy defense early game, and then kind of leads them into a, you know, position which I imagine then he says, oh, well, if I don't die early game, I'm very comfortable later in the game. We can kind of go from there. So, what's going to be seeing our CC coming down from Cure. I mean, he's actually not doing anything too weird at all, right? He's just going to go into that Marine, make that a second Marine as well. Scout across the map with the SCV too, so it's a little bit weird because he's actually going to have just Marines against the Lings, but that does mean that there's not like a Reaper that's out on the map, so everything he's built will be at home. Just might need a little bit of a workable, or a couple SCVs just to help him to really make sure that that doesn't become anything more problematic than it needs to be. Marines just nibbling their way through that Overlord then, picking their way through that, and obviously high ground vision will be here soon, but then the Lings show up to protect the Overlord, so actually kind of a weird little situation. That Overlord getting saved by the units moving around as our Marines are here. Lings taking some damage. That will be that for the moment. Okay, so we saw chill out from there as we do get ourselves otherwise setting up. The early game was a little bit wonky, but all good. We get back on track and still got these few Lings. Forcing SCVs to be pulled. I mean, this does make up for you going pool first instead of hatch first, right? So SCVs off the line, lost mine time. Yeah, that stuff definitely adds up to help you get back on track for sure. So that is good to see as the game link speed continues on through. And Reynor lately in ZVT, so I feel like it's been a little while since I saw a bit of Reynor ZVT per se. I think I casted of Reynor lately and I can't... I think I've seen much since he was qualifying for this event, perhaps. Maybe the last time I casted him. He played against Clem and looked amazing. His ZVT looked really on point, nice and aggressive. Just knew how to, you know, his counterattacks were clean, always finding, you know, good damage, attacks at the right time sort of thing. It was always a really good situation, it felt like. When it was, you know, that last time around I saw him play. So, if he can keep his ZVT looking clean like that, and he's been able to keep working on it, and so on, and that would be great. I know he's just moved, by the way, Reynor. He moved to England for the next 6 months or so, and I know he's still waiting on his PC to be delivered. I'm not sure if his PC is there yet, is there now, or was there for these games. The last few days he's been playing on a laptop and stuff, but yeah, I guess that's one of those things maybe to keep in mind. Like, I know sometimes his laptop had lower FPS than he liked and stuff. But I think he's still been playing good. I mean, we casted him playing well in an ESL Open Cup or so last week when he's playing off a laptop while streaming too, so it can't be that bad is what I'm trying to say. Just trying to give a bit of backstory to one of the players. Reynor moving into an apartment for a while and stuff as these Lings trying to wrap around a couple of those Hellions, chasing those around. Having some fun. Lings do get another Hellion kill. So yeah, so far, so good. I mean, nice to get rid of the Hellions, right? I mean, just taking away control from the Terran player right from the start. I mean, it's actually terrible to be losing your Hellions like that. So Reynor just already on point, it would seem. Now, we talk about Cure's TvZ, and we've seen a lot of him looking fantastic TvZ-wise. He really is a very solid player. Definitely not afraid to go to the late game. I mean, we talk about the qualifiers for this tournament again, and he played Serral in the late game. And he really pushed Serral, and he was playing on the European server as well. Was it for this tournament? Maybe it was for a TSL qualifier, but I think it was for this tournament. And he pushed Serral to like a 35-minute game on Blackburn, and it was very cool. So Cure is definitely not afraid of a late game, and definitely can kind of take it to those later stages if needed, if necessary. So that's going to be kind of cool to see. And Yeah, just kind of cool to see what what kind of comes out of this. To me, it really feels like these are two players in this matchup who have been on top of their game lately and can give us great matches. So hell yeah, and they've got a cool history too. There's been some substantial events where actually Cure came out ahead of Reynor and has been able to beat Reynor when Reynor was kind of at one of his peaks, and people expected Reynor to be playing well and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of another little something to maybe keep in mind. As we just get this set up, guys. A couple of Evo Chambers coming down. Enough of the storylines, maybe. Let's go back to our actual game. It's been pretty passive, and, the Banshees showed up. They didn't find too much or anything, right? That's why we've been kind of just focused around on, talking about other bits and pieces to keep this intriguing in the early game. As these three queens are going to join up underneath that Overseer for the moment. And they are just waiting out for their chance to maybe make something happen. So they kind of hold out for a few moments here. Banshees are still around. Queens are going to come in and push those Banshees away for a few moments. So bye-bye, Banshee. And just good defense from Reynor. One of the things he mentioned when he was talking about improving his TvZ again and getting back on form was, one of the things that made him so good when he won Katowice last year, or this year, I guess. It feels crazy that was this year still, but when he won Katowice, he said his TvZ was in just such a good state because he wasn't losing anything early game. He was just really clean in the early game. He was getting into the mid game without taking any damage, and he said he was really been focused on perfecting that early game again to get into that mid game in really good control, and then able to obviously play very good games from there. And that's been very true this game. He's not really taken any damage. He's just had good creep spread. He's been the one initiating a couple of fights and getting a couple of initial trade outs, so definitely feels a bit like that's the case as we've been watching this game unravel so far. Oops. Sorry guys, I accidentally nudged the mouse that we're watching the computer from. Sorry, as that took me away for a moment, as we just see the Lingbane chasing down the Marines there for a second. And the tanks actually got shut down. God, that was a horrible time to distract myself. I apologize. These Marines try and come through again then. Queen's trying to fight the Lingbane, pulling back a little bit. Just waiting. Doesn't really want to go off creep if you don't have to, right? And that's just a smart choice as well. Yeah, sorry guys. So basically I'm casting this off of a video I recorded earlier. And because I couldn't transfer the videos between PCs in time, I am instead just streaming, using my capture card to capture the second PC. And I just nudged the mouse, so the video player stuff popped. I was like, wait, what's happening? Oh, sorry, just distracted myself at a bad moment. My apologies. Alright, well, Banshee's still alive. Gotta say, credit to Cure for that, because these Banshees have been just back and going at it repeatedly, and that's really, really good, right? I mean, now you're actually getting creep spread kills from these Banshees, so that's really nice. A good way to keep map control. Preservation of units, we talk about it a lot in ZVT, and that's a really good example of just getting the absolute utmost out of units and just really making sure they're going to be as useful as possible. As one Banshee does get shot down, another one chased away. So finally, just as I'm talking about preservation of units, one dies, but yeah, to keep them up and running for this long and to keep on trying to find openings and being so persistent with them was very cool for Cure. Unfortunately, I cursed him. We do just see our Marines up into the center, taking down a couple of creep teamers there as well already. He's just picking off those right now, and a few Marines just pulling back a little bit as well. Our Infestation Pit is about halfway done, meaning that Reynor has pretty clear pathway up to Hive Tech here. That's pretty much what the Infestation Pit's for, right? Lingbane Hydra. You get the Hive Tech going, you get the Lurker Den start. That should just be the pathway in this game. Yeah, 2-2 upgrade's about to be done. We'll see how aggressive he gets off this. Of course, he's already got a 4th base in position, so it's not like he's doing any kind of big 2-2 all-in timing, but as 2-2 finishes, that's generally a timing that Terrans like to push with, get into some positions with, and try and test the waters with, for sure. So see how it continues on. Lurker Den's just continuing through, taking along for the moment as we do scan, and Marines have to lift up and back away immediately. So just pulling away from that. I'm just going to see those medevacs escaping back down to the south side. Lingbane Hydra continues to collect together over on the left side there. You got a couple of lag spikes. I imagine those were probably just off the clean feed when this was initially recorded, guys. So it would be very weird for me to lag in between my own two PCs. So yeah, otherwise, Lurker Den is going to be done shortly. That means that obviously this game changes once Lurkers are up. It's a completely different pacing, but to be honest, the pacing has kind of been as though there's been lurkers out already, you know? In my eyes, I kind of look at this, I'm like, well, you know, if you told me that lurkers were out already and you tell me kind of what the Terran's been able to do and where he's been, yeah, I'd kind of believe that lurkers were out, because Cure's just not really been anywhere. You know, Reynolds had such good control of the map. Reynolds not really had to deal with Cure attacking him. Cure's just been very slowed down pretty much all game long. That's definitely pretty impactful, as we do see our Planetary Fortress on the forward position, so that's going to be a good point of defense from Cure. Somewhere I'm sure he's going to look back to a few times over during the course of this. How's that Lingbane Hydra once again, just kind of pulling around, figuring out where it wants to go. Got another inject in on the Hive as we just have Double Nidus setting up. So Reynor also just saying, well, you know what, passive game, I'm, you know, got a little bit of freedom to do as I wish, and my wish right now is to be able to put more pressure on you. Hence the Double Nidus. That's going to be how he tries to deal damage here in the future. We do otherwise see the Ghost Academy coming up, a few additional command centers coming through. Continue to bring this into play as the Bio Army comes on forward, and we're actually going to see these Banes rolling up this ramp against this at the moment. So Banes rolling up this ramp, a couple of Banelings being shot down. But otherwise, yeah, not really going to be able to reach too much overall. Obviously, Cure just building up a ton of CCs, now getting a Ghost and Libs. Just super happy to just play the late game. This is kind of what I said when I talked about him playing against Cell on the EU server, and I sort of thought then it was like, oh, well, European server, right? You know, we're talking about, you know, he's playing with a lot of ping, so it makes sense he maybe wants to be a bit more passive and just let the game play out a little bit and stuff, but NA server, fairly equal ping. I really thought Cure would be a lot more aggressive than he has been. Lingbane going to come through here, but the defense is good, and I mean, that's the question mark for Reynor, right? It's like, well, do you want to actually attack into this at all, or are you just going to kind of let this play out? Because at the end of the day right now, this is kind of a situation where your opponent is just sitting back defensively. The problem is, if you just let him sit back defensively forever, then is he not just going to be exactly where he wants to be? We got a picture-in-picture of a Dropper Lord being chased away by a Viking. So that's actually a good defense against a couple of lurkers trying to drop in elsewhere. So cool little move from Reynor, but a better defense from Cure, just to make sure that he doesn't actually have to deal with that or take damage from it. And that's really nice, because once you start letting lurkers on top of mineral lines, it becomes really rough, cleaning it up and running around everywhere. Again, Reynor just kind of running up the ramp here, and 7 SCVs, a couple lurkers surviving. He's back on the right side, just trying to create these openings, trying to create opportunities where he can really just rip Cure down from. I was going to be seeing 12 SCVs haven't picked off this lurker, who's just kind of having a wild time. Yeah, it would be good if we got rid of that, so we get a couple of snipes. Seeing a couple little bits and pieces at the moment. Gonna be seeing our orbital morphing in, Overseer moving around a little bit, as well as our Lingbane lurker. Sets in the center. Waiting for the next step of this. It's gonna be seeing another CC moving through. Just gonna be seeing Ling lurker coming over here. A little bit of tank fire coming through, and just gonna start moving forwards. Lurker's going to get burrowed up. A few Banelings moving through here as well. I mean, just straight up busts down this base. We see the picture-in-picture. Nidus is on the way up in the main. Obviously, Cure needs to get back to deal with that. The last thing you want is Lurkers on your production. That Nidus is going to go up. I guess we're going to full screen that now. Liberator gets over there, and I guess it's not going to be too bad, as it doesn't seem like we're going to continue with much kind of spawning out. A single Lurker comes in. Pretty lackluster, really. Not really much to talk about there, I don't think. Well, again, it's just been a game of Reynor trying to break his opponent, trying to find some openings. Couple tank shots onto these Lings already. Once again, reducing another Nidus attempt over in the main base right now. So in we go. Tank's going to fire up a Storm. Resources lost 17.5k to 10.5k right now, so that resources loss kind of definitely a factor here as well. That Reynor's been trading pretty badly, but remember, he's also just had bases for free and 94 drones. Like, obviously I can't check myself, but I'm pretty sure like no drones died this game. Maybe like a couple to Banshees super early, but there's been nothing harassment-wise from Cure. He's just let Reynor be where he wants to be, as that's a full medevac of Marines going down. So that gets picked off as well. This is going to spawn up elsewhere on the map. We're not going to go check in on that one, apparently, as a few Vipers continue to come on through. Let's scan there, and it's going to get picked off. CC relocating, and again, just otherwise everything else continue to get going. Just going to see the Ling Bane Hydra Lurker coming through. Couple Lurker shots going through there, and here we go. Finally, Reynor deciding for the next attack. Again, it's just the idea of deny the Terran from taking his economy. If you can keep Cure from taking his economy, well, that's all you need to do. If your economy is not under any threat at all, you move in, you kill a base, you move out. You just rinse and repeat. And just stop him from, if you just say 4 bases is enough, then 4 bases is enough. And again, in the long term, Cure just wants to eventually get to 5 bases, then eventually 6 bases. And that's why this game really would turn in favor of Cure. If he was able to achieve that, but obviously being able to achieve that is maybe kind of tough, right? So that's the difficulty of this. Again, all the upgrades, Neo Steel frames finishing, so these buildings are going to have a little bit more armor. They're going to be slightly tougher to bust. Really kind of one of those things which seems so minor, but actually is just kind of something Terrans do later in the game, as we see a couple of Banes being shot down, a Lurker or 2 being picked away. The Banes continue through, and that Bioforce will be chased away. Now, Fusion Core's coming up as well. Would not be surprised here to see if Liberator range, right? Just get those Liberators into a little bit more of the action, a little bit more easily. Liberators are something which he's been building for a while, and it makes sense against this kind of composition as Vipers just coming through. Good Blinding Clouds. This just allows Reynor to create some more efficient trades as well with these Vipers, right? So, I mean, it feels like the trades just get better for him as we crash into a few more Marines, and just look at his bank. I honestly, I just don't get the plan from Cure. Was it just hoping that Reynor would trade that badly that he would eventually have a chance to do something? I mean, I guess I get it, right? But it's hard to imagine it with the way that Reynor's been playing. It almost makes it feel as though this plan of Cure has been absolutely obsolete from the very beginning, because Reynor's just had complete control of the game. It's not really been that kind of... It's not like it's been back and forth, right? It's been very obvious kind of what's going on, what Reynor wanted to do, and what Reynor has been doing, and Cure's just kind of let him do it. And yeah, like I say, it's feeling rough right now as you can't max out. You're really struggling for 5th base. I think the thing is, if you get a 5th base, it actually looks quite different as well, because then Reynor does have to maybe slow it down a little bit and then say like, oh wait, hold up. If you get to 5 bases, yeah, that really does make this a little bit different, a little bit more complex. Because that's a whole different setup for me to have to deal with. So imagine that is something of a factor as some Lings there get turned around. A few Marines continue to be in play momentarily. Just going to see a couple shots going around here and there. Nuke is on the way up. Spine coming through. 20 more Lings and a couple Overlords all coming in. Just going to see that Lurker is going to get rid of a few SCVs. Kaboom. A few SCVs already going down. The Ling's coming down as well. Again, you just can't have a 5th base. It's just not allowed, Cure. Sorry. We forgot to tell you that at the start of the game. Terran players are not allowed 5th bases. It's the new rules that Reynor set in motion at the start of the game. He finds an Overseer and some Lings for free. That's nice. Well, he might actually get that base down, but now Reynor's going to look to push in over here. Abduct, Blinding Clouds. He's just going to straight up swarm up this ramp, and well, the defense that here are just going to start going down. There's nothing that's really dealing with these Lurkers at all, so okay, we're going to try a defensive nuke. Well, even if that lands, Reynor has 8k, 4k to rebuild from, so actually he probably needs us to land dead center on Reynor's army just to reset the game a little bit and to give him some chances. I mean, just to really put in perspective that this is just not going well for Cure, guys. I know it's probably been, you guys are probably getting the hint, but again, I mean, put it this way as well. Look what we've been looking at all game. We've always just been looking at the Zerg sending bases, sending units into the Terran's bases. And that's because there's been nothing else to look at. Cure, again, didn't do anything else to make this more interesting or to make this difficult for Reynor to have to look back at home. And we've seen our few group teamers in the center here coming in. Marines they get chased away by a few Lings as the Lings have a bit of a wrap around. Tank shots are good to hit a few more Zerglings as well. Tanks, Marauders, Marines will continue up. These Banes continue forward. They're going to go and bust down a Planetary Fortress. They're just going to work their way through that at the moment. And, well, I'm going to see a couple of these Overseers getting pushed away as well. Just going to line up a few more snipes on these Lurkers. Okay, I mean, not terrible for Cure. He loses 18 SCVs. He gets a good few units. It's terrible because Reynor's the one that has everything in the world to rebuild off the back of this. Yeah, that is absolutely the terrible part of this. That is absolutely the problem. Jeez, that's it's gonna be a little bit tough, for sure. High forces coming through. A lot of this group spread will start to get taken away right now as it looks like these are some couple lags that happened in game. Nothing on my end right now, guys, so sorry for that. Lings and Hydra still pouring out. Well, remax is Reynor. Right now, I guess as you remax, you kind of want to go sooner rather than later. The sooner you go, the better it is, because the less time you give the Terran to mine, and to hence then actually get the money to remax, because his bank is just gone. Lings and Banes coming through. Viper's going to drop some Blind Clouds again. Wouldn't have minded maybe a parasitic bomb on some of the medevacs, but I guess it's also that situation where it's like, is that really super vital? Not really, so can't complain either. If he goes to the top side, we'll start to clean up, but just a new round of Lings and Hydras are on the way again, so more of the same. We just keep it going. That's how this continues through. We're just going to be seeing 4 more SCVs dying. But the base on the left side got denied. And yes, you got the bottom right base up, so you're finally allowed 5 bases. But this is 5 bases versus Reynor's 8 bases. So it's kind of like a, Reynor, 19,000 resources lost worse than his opponent. So he's been way worse off economically all this time. Or not economically, sorry, but in terms of how he's been trading. And hence that better economy has been essential for him to keep it going the way it has done. The Queens here will go down, unfortunately. They aren't that good that they can survive this onslaught. As in the bottom right side, Lings are going to run through again. That's just an orbital, by the way, so not even a planetary, which means just Lings can basically stop the mining of it unless there's an army there. And Reynor just going to continue through. Liberator gets cleaned out. There is a Bioforce on the left side going to get rid of this hatchery. Now that hatchery goes down, and Hydra's still coming through, chasing the orbital away. Refinery as well, also going to drop down in this. Picture-in-picture is nice just to see the action on both sides of the map. I mean, actually clean out 2 bases as Cure, so for the first time in the game, Cure attacks and he kills 2 hatcheries. I think Reynor's almost just like, wait, what, you're attacking me? What do I do about that? Oh yeah, I defend. Because that was just so random. Like, it just feels like out of nowhere, finally Cure's like, this is it, let's go! Let's make this happen! Now that was kind of wild as Lingbane Hydra still gathers up in the center. And we wait for the next stop of this as... Okay, Reynor is now only on 60 drones. Well, he still has 5k, 2k in the bank though, and the supplies have never been as far apart as they are right now, so I imagine this one's going to be fairly short-lived when it comes to it being a success story for Cure. We're just going to be seeing Lings and Banes continuing through this. Bioforce taking damage. Ghosts are going down. I mean, this is just a push in from Reynor that might actually be the end of the game, as Cure has about 50 supply left, so yeah, it really actually might be. The Siege Tank's going to go down as well. I think that is pretty much everything. GG from Cure, and Reynor wins a game that he's been, well, winning for a very long time, that we just had to kind of wait out to get to our final part of. Alright, to have him back in. Looks like Curious Minds is map number 2. So, Curious Minds, not surprising. See Curious Minds coming up second map. Sounds like they took a little while to turn the music off there. I vote for Wardy wearing a reindeer headset. You want me to blow your mind, Wush? Want me to blow your mind right now? Yeah. My camera didn't turn on. Oh, my camera is behind. Oh, my camera's in the wrong place. Hang on. Here we go. There you go. I've got jingly reindeer antlers. Yes. Already thought about it. So, there you go. You didn't even have to vote. Boom. And a red nose. Okay, I'm not going to crank out a red nose, but the jingly antlers can go on. Ellie came to see what was up. She was like, jingles? Stuff I can potentially eat? Oh, you're still here, are you? Hi. Yeah? You excited about the jingles? She was very interested in the jingles yesterday as well. As we kick this one off, we get this going. Oh my goodness. Whoosh! Gonna drop the freaking sub-bomb. Jeez, that's definitely one way to do it. Dropping the 50 gifted subs. I vote with the wallet. Okay, dude, I'll get to those after this game. I want to make sure this is obviously focused up on the game a little bit because I want to put this series on YouTube. But I will shout those out when we get to the end of this. Mate. Thank you so freaking much. I see some love and some hype in the chat. Drop your resubs. If you 50 subs, guys. Drop a couple hundred, drop 100 bits or a resub or a prime. Let's get a hype train and hit some. Let's unlock some emotes. Literally. Yeah. So thank you so much, Bush. I appreciate it. Let's see some love in the chat. And let's get us ready for the TvZ then. Map number 2. Reynor has the 1-0 lead. Bush, you freaking madman. You dropped 50 yesterday as well at the end of the stream. An actual madman. Alright, link speed coming through as we get this running. Just going to be seeing the factory is coming online. Tech Labs building, and obviously this is going to be a 2-on-1 opening here from Cure. So something to, at least at the very start, maybe get set up and to maybe actually get some damage or so, right? And I like that just because it feels like we saw nothing but Zerg attacking for the majority of that last game. So I'd be happy to see some Terran attacks this time around. Change it up a little bit, for sure. Sign me the heck up. Reaper's gonna fight that drone a little bit. Gonna drop down a little grenade as well. As you do see the couple Queens, Lings, drone, all moving around here. Just gonna get the third hatchery down after the Lings stop blocking it. Let me get this underway. Sorry guys, my throat is acting up a little bit at the end here. It's so dark you guys can't see anything. I can turn the brightness up a little bit actually. Does that help? Is that any better? It's just because, I think it's just because it's on a weird, because it's coming from it's from a weird kind of, it's from a weird combination of setups basically that I have. It doesn't look like this on my screen at all actually. That's way better? Alright. Glad to help you guys out. Yeah, it's just a little bit, it's just a little bit weird. Because obviously I did a, it's too shiny now? Oh. Crap. What about now? What about like that? Okay. Reduce the colors? Oh my god, you guys, guys, there's only so much I can do. Alright, Marine Drop gonna get pushed back by roaches. The contrast is way too high? Well, you want me to, I mean, I can take it down to like here. Is that way better? I can't tell because like I'm working off of so many different things. That's good. Okay, I'm done. Right. Okay, we're done. I'm hands off. We're done. This is how we're watching it, guys. Like I say, it's a weird situation because I recorded it on my other PC and now we're using my capture card to watch it. It's gonna be a little bit off. We just have to deal with it, guys. I apologize. Just try to help, but there's only so much we can really do overall. All right. Well, we're just gonna be seeing the Queens gathering up. I'm just going to be seeing our few Marines getting healed up by a medevac a little bit. We're going to scout. We're going to go for this Overlord that will go down. So Overlord falls. And just going to be seeing a little bit more of this creep spread being denied at the moment. Queen coming in to push that medevac back a little bit as well. So just pushing this back slightly. Doing a decent job of that. And these few Marines now loading up onto the medevac and going from there. Alrighty, so just setting up a little bit. Just going to be seeing this coming through. Plus one Carapace coming in. And just getting ourselves set up a little bit right now. Again, a few drones just kind of staying alive, and roaches are defending. Sorry, I was just trying to fix something that I accidentally clicked off wrong. Alright, so roaches are going to be here, but that is going to be a denial on the drone trying to become the 4th base at least. So that's something, if nothing else. It's going to be seeing a few roaches continuing through a little bit right now. You guys can see the thing in the background? Oh. I see what I did. Okay, I fixed this. I fixed that again now, guys. Okay. Sorry. Alright, we got roaches coming through. Queen's chasing around. We continue to set this up. Just going to be seeing the Bioforce coming through here as well. Roaches coming in. Bioforce kind of forced to lift up a little bit. Carapace is about to be done. Missiles is a long way off. I mean, this is a map where roaches, I think, can do very well at denying a 3rd base, because that 3rd base is just very open, so roaches kind of have a free pathway in. But obviously, do you want to commit to that? Is that something we're really looking to do right now in this game? Cure, again, didn't really do much damage early. So again, Reynor's early game defense was absolutely on point, and that's what we've been talking about, how good his early game defense is, and just how much that helps him out getting into a good position. It's just going to be seeing the scan coming down. And it's going to be seeing a couple of bio units getting in for a couple of group tumor kills. So making something out of that. Just going to be seeing how Roach Ravager still moving forward, and just going to be having the again, an army of Reynor just happy to kind of take the map right now. Just taking creep spread everywhere, and just again taking full control. Wants to own this map. It's a short map as well, so just having creep, it doesn't take a lot to get the creep out in the middle. Obviously, it doesn't take a lot for the time to get there to clean it up either, so it's a really kind of, you know, drawn-out battle that happens repeatedly on this map. And it's going to be a big one, because if Reynor has creep across it, then the speed of his counterattacks is obviously just going to be sped up that much, and then you're pretty much always going to be on the run. That's obviously going to be a pretty big deal. There's a couple things to watch out for, as we do just have a couple of medevacs escaping away. Fire units dropping off over here. A few roaches taking some damage. Let's scan ourselves to continue into this right now, and yeah, just going to be having our Roach Ravager continuing through. With the Bioforce coming up once again, it just feels like everywhere Cure is, there's just a group of roaches and Ravagers that are pushing him back and are trading very well anyway. Just going to be seeing Cure. I mean, as Reynor hits into Infestors and into Lurkers, you would imagine for a larger fight this would be his timing, but he just loses 2 medevacs top right. Okay, he's going to start pushing on the left-hand side. I think he needs to. If he doesn't go now, when is he going to go? And, you know, the army's only going to be getting better here from Reynor, so this should be, in theory, Reynor's weakest moment. Let's see if Cure can take advantage, getting straight down here, getting into position to be on top of these bases. Bioforce getting on top of that hatchery, so the hatch taking a few shots of damage at the moment. On the right side, a few queens are around and just going to be jumping back over here. Continue to come on through. Roach Ravager force continuing in. The tanks are taking a beating at the moment, and just going to be seeing Well, this army continuing through. Looks like we're going to be just getting rid of a lot of tanks. I mean, Reynor loses a lot. Does not have the most insane of economies to rebuild back up on right now. I mean, he has 84 drones, but he just lost a hatchery bottom side. He loses his 5th base. Problem is, Cure is still on 3 bases. There's no 4th here, so Cure needs to keep this going. He is somewhat all in off this 3-base attack, and if he doesn't get the job done soon, he will start to kind of run out of steam, and he will start to have some issues. That's going to be the fascinating part of this game, as he's done a good portion of this. Is there a time for him just to drop back into... Okay, he has got a 4th CC that's moving out, so he is going to be able to take that into place. Okay, well, that's good. I didn't see it initially. It was in the mess of stuff that's in the main right. Oh my god, again, Medevac's getting hit down by Biles. I know they were caught in fungals for a bit there, but that's kind of brutal, as we're going to see a few Biles, one more to get rid of that siege tank in the back, and Reynor's going to clean this army up. Didn't go for the Bile in the end, just ended up attacking it down. Going to be seeing the Ravager again picked away at, the Roach Ravager being chased away in general, and just seeing our army of Cure going to try and find some time to recover and regroup. I mean, Reynor's got a lot of minerals to spend, but not a lot of gas. That's something he could maybe fix as he gets that base back online. It's going to be something for him to look at a little bit. His Infestus here, I need to be careful. Big fungal grows to start. Make that a second to wrap it up. He's going to keep those units fungal for a while. Gets a couple of battles on them. Reynor supply is dipping down though, and Cure might actually have a good fight here. He's got the tank sieged up in the bank as well. Enough of them back up and running now to maybe make a bit of a push out of, right? I mean, that could be the real power of this. As we move on forward, it's 11 roaches, and that's kind of it. There's really not much on the map right now from Reynor. He's going to lose this bottom side. So if he loses this bottom side, I mean, he'll lose the bottom left. Will he also lose the 3rd base, though? He could play up the right-hand side, but I feel like if he loses that low ground base that's just down the ramp from here, I feel like that's going to be really rough to come back from. He is getting lurkers, but his opponent's got a crap ton of siege tanks, so I mean, that's kind of just a whole thing, right? Reynor down 25-ish supply at the moment, then trying to make it back from here. Let's see if he can do something. Cure will have the tank siege on the high ground, so this base is in trouble. I actually don't think you save this, and then Reynor is basically going to be playing up the right side of the map. He doesn't have creep on that base up there, so that would be a problem in itself. If that becomes the 4th base, you then have to defend, but you don't have creep set up there. That's a massive issue, so definitely problems arising for Reynor. Now this hatchery is still alive, though, so that's something. Cure's reinforcements starting to move onto the map. Reynor still with just a ton of minerals that he's not being able to spend this game. It looks like Cure wants to drop into the main. No, he's going to drop on top of the lurkers here. We're going to go for this. We kind of need a scan if we're going to do that, though. That felt like it wasn't very effective. And Reynor's going to take that as a chance to move up through these tanks. He says, well, if your units are in the medevacs, you can't protect these tanks properly. Ling's getting on top of them, and that is going to be a lot of units cleaned up. Reynor loses a lot of supply again, so it's not like Cure doesn't get a trade out of it, as he will deny the top right. Reynor is now down to 4 bases only here on Curious Minds. Oh my goodness. Well, just going to be seeing this Bioforce still trying to move through. A couple lurkers are in position there to keep the bio away. Keep it at bay for the moment. You see our Ling, Roach, Ravager, Lurker all coming through the bottom side again. A new hatchery on the way up here. Reynor trying to get up to a 5th base. 4 base against 4 base is where you want to be as Cure, so he's getting himself into the right position, if nothing else, for the moment. Reynor's going to go up through the center, though, and actually a lot of Cure's units are out on the map. That might not be a bad moment for Reynor to fight, but I guess it's mostly Lings and then the Lurkers to back it up, so maybe just wasn't confident in what was actually there. Cure going to try and drop around. I really would have loved it if he dropped into the main base before when he dropped on top of those units. I feel like that drop onto the units was not the play. Obviously, hindsight is everything there as well, but I feel like the main base was actually not a bad place to go to. Pull some units away and maybe let the tanks do some work elsewhere also. I think it's going to catch a chunk of SCVs, so a lot of those going down. Just move commanding, not mineral clicked anywhere, so that's a bit of a mistake as well. That was avoidable. That's the main base orbital. Lose that and you're losing access to some of your scans, and that's obviously something of an issue. It's not like you're orbital rich right now as we do drop into the main base. Hive, dead. So that's going to be a big pick off for Cure. Getting rid of the Hive tech, removing those options from the game for a good long while. At least Adrenal Glands is going to be done from Reynor. He's obviously got the Lurker upgrades as well already. But stuff like being able to go into +3 Carapace, +3 missiles. He can't build any Vipers right now. These are all things that might have been on Reynor's radar in the near future, had this obviously not happened. Drops continuing everywhere as obviously, again, Cure just trying to make use of this Bioforce throughout this game. More units coming in over here. I think this is just a lift-up situation, though, as you're up against a few Lurkers, so you want to be careful about that. That's going to be seeing the Bioforce continue to fight again. Quick question about the bottom right side, by the way. Someone's asking what the bottom right numbers are. It's inactive worker time. So basically, every second that a worker is inactive, it goes up by 1. And obviously, that's why sometimes it goes up faster because there's multiple workers AFK, and sometimes it goes up a bit slow because there's no workers AFK or whatever. So for Cure, it just means that he has a few SCVs somewhere that aren't mining or doing anything at all. And that's why it's adding up. By the looks of it, it's kind of a lot right now, but yeah, it's been rising rapidly the last little while, that's for sure. So yeah, that's what that number is. As, I know that's one that I don't actually usually have in my overlays. And we've been seeing a lot this time around with how the observer likes to observe. That's going to be seeing Ling Hydra Roach up into the main, going to go chasing down this group of bio units, so making a play onto that already. Medevac's going to go back in. Look at those scans going to expire, and you got to be careful about it. Like I say, you know, it's not like Cure's got a whole bunch of orbitals and scans endlessly or anything. So I know Hive on the way back through. And his Hydra speed coming up as well right now. Well, for the first time in a while, the game settles down a bit. Reynor still has money to spend, by the way, and I mean, imagine he's going to spend it a little bit closer to the time when his Hive is done, perhaps, but that's definitely been a factor here to keep in mind. We're not going to try and take bottom left and upper right, just sort of says, well, if you don't deny me on one of them, at least, you know, deny me on one, I've got the other, deny me on both, then good job, but you'll be busy. So that's cool. I mean, again, just the idea of trying to get these bases up is important, right? Just you get into that stage of the game where that is a factor. And we've seen a couple creep teamers going down, the bio army pushing through, a little Roach counter-attacking as well. Just gonna get to the top right. I mean, he must know bottom left, right? That hatchery, oh, that hatchery wasn't on center anyway, right? It wasn't on the circle. Okay, well, a lot of CCs coming up from Cure, and I mean, I think that's what's been missing from him for a little bit as well, just getting a lot of bases up and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be seen that Lings and Lurkers running up through the center. Well, these CCs that have just been building are now going to be under fire, so need to lift those up and evacuate a little bit. Losing 2 command centers is kind of expensive, especially when, I mean, I know they're not like immediately mining, but that's 800 minerals that just go down. Lurkers everywhere, and Reynor's going to find a marvelous position. Oh, on the right-hand side, the Lurkers are found by tanks, though, at least, so that's something for Cure to smile about. In amongst everything else that's ongoing here at the moment, which is, well, Lurkers in between every one of his bases. Liberator's coming up, forcing him to relocate, but there's Lurkers up in the main on top of his production too, and Cure just left this pathway, this avenue open. I mean, that's somewhat the danger of Curious Minds. It's a very short map, and so if you're just a bit out of position, the Zerg can be up in somewhere else sooner than you know it. I feel like that's a little bit of what's happened here, in all honesty. Does feel like that's a little bit of what's kind of gone down over the last little while. Things coming through, a few tanks getting picked away at, and just going to be seeing them fighting against each other. On the bottom left-hand side, Reynor is making a move in as well. Obviously, Ling's picking off tanks like that is fairly effective too, as these Hydras are going to come cuddle into that third base location, and this should just be kind of evacuated. That might even go down, depending if the Hydras want to move forward for it. They do not. Give them a couple of Liberators, though. Vipers in production, can't get them soon enough. A couple of Abducts to help out with dealing with these Libs would be amazing. would just make Reynor's life a lot simpler. As he is losing a lot, and once again, the supply's dropping together, right? You know, both players are dropping down in supply here. It's not just a one-sided thing. So yeah, keep that in mind as well, because I actually do think that's pretty notable. Means that Reynor is not just kind of doing all of this for free. He has traded 8,000 resources lost worse in the game. Big part of this for Reynor is the fact that he has got this bottom left mining, so he's got a new 5th base ready to go, so he's got some mining just coming back online right now. And that part of this is going to be very important for him, because he was getting to a point where mining really was becoming, again, more and more of a problem for sure. Last couple tanks in the top right going to go down. That means the lurkers can make their way to the base finally. Okay, there's just a couple turrets there, so yeah, this is just an orbital too. In fact, everything of Reynor is going to move up here, so he's going to deny the 5th base of Cure. A lot of SCVs are going to go down, so that's a lot of it. I mean, that's a ton of SCVs. That's 20 plus. Wow, that's over half of Cure's active SCV count that just died. I mean, he just lost his economy. So that's a major move from Reynor, and it just feels like he's a little step ahead on denying bases and economy right now to where Cure is at. As Cure tries to get the bottom left, he cannot. Not enough units versus what Reynor left behind. And like I say, I think that's what I mean. Just Cure is a little bit of a step behind Reynor, just being in the right places, being at the right point in time. He didn't even get the snipe off there, so the lurker survived when it was meant to get shot down. Reynor wins this. I think he's on his way to it, perhaps. Then pretty incredible game, because he was down in supply big time at points, and Cure had some good positions. Reynor really had some good army movement to keep the game alive and to keep himself in it, and to make this a possibility. Because it absolutely was not looking good for him at times, so now he's just going to run up through the center and a strike through the heart, perhaps. Cure still has a lot of army supply, though, so Reynor can't just go throwing things away, but he is going to get units on top of production. And obviously that is massive, because if you're not able to produce, well, then you're just in trouble in general. There's that Viper and Abduct I was talking about for helping deal with the Liberators. Exactly what I was imagining when I said it earlier. Just abduct it in, just get those libs so you don't have to run through the lib zones to deal with it. The production's still being hit, as you can see in the production tab, as all these tanks get taken out as well. Cure types out GG, and Reynor is going to take map number 2 and hence the series. And that means Reynor is in the winner's match against Zest, while Cure is in the elimination match against Dark for our games tomorrow. Well, that's pretty cool.